आज हमारे साथ हैं एस विजय कुमार, a star on social media who's brought back 157 artifacts to India, giving it the cultural renaissance and the boost that it needed. बहुत बहुत स्वागत आपका. Thank you for coming on Mehman.
Thank you for hosting me here.
Your core project, India Pride Project, के क्या मायने हैं, इस पे अपने विचार साझा करें.
हमारे मंदिर में जो मूर्तियां हैं दे आर सेक्रेड प्रॉपर्टी, सेक्रेड मूर्तिज़ है. इसको चोरी करके इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में प्राइस टैग लगा के दे बेसिकली मेकिंग आर सेक्रेड मूर्तिज अ प्राइसलेस गॉड्स ऑफ आर्स इनटू प्राइस टैग शो पीस क्यूरियोस. और they end up in swimming pools, lining swimming pools of the billionaires in Bollywood, in Hollywood. We've been to New York, we've seen those, and to see our murtis paraded as showpiece curios in art markets like objects, it hurt our pride. In the past, India was very lax in bringing back stolen murtis. So until 2012, we had brought back only 19, and thousands have gone missing. I think what we meant by giving it the name India Pride Project was restoring India's pride one murti at a time. And I'm thankful for all the volunteers of India Pride Project, wherein we have reached over 200 restitutions after 2012, and we hope to bring in more.
But when you started this project, Vijay ji, तो आपके साथ अनुराग सक्सेना ने काम किया. Everything starts with an idea. क्या देखा आपने ऐसा जो आपको क्या छू गया?
I have a day job in shipping, and I moved to Singapore 2006 May, and I've been working in the shipping industry for the last 15 years. And I always had an interest in Indian temple art, and मैंने Southeast Asia में travel किया. वहाँ पे वियतनाम, इंडोनेशिया, कंबोडिया, थाईलैंड, यहाँ सब हमारा Indian influence is celebrated. And back home in India, I felt there was a neglect. People, I think they were after jobs and money, and our own people were not really aware of the heritage. So in 2006, it was just a small effort. मैंने किया कि एक dummies guide बना दे Indian art and iconography. So I started a blog site in 2006 to try to explain in layman's terms, not to go into too much detail. एक guide बना के internet में free में देना है. वही that time I was not planning to be a vigilante. I was not planning to bring back murtis. It was just like break it down for people to understand ये मूर्ति किसका है. It was happened because I was in a temple in Tamil Nadu, and एक पापा ने छोटे बच्चे के साथ टेम्पल में आया. छोटे बच्चे ने शिव जी का एक मूर्ति देखे. पापा ये कौन है? The father said ये विष्णु है, and he walked off. So I realized that हमारे लोग को हमारे देवता का नाम भी नहीं मालूम है. So maybe we need to explain to them in common terms. That was how I started this in a small way in 2006. But then after about 2 साल हो गए, in lot of friends, like-minded people joined me in going and visiting offbeat sites in India. हमने बहुत trip plan किए, document किए, government को copies दिए free मुफ्त में, because it was a learning process for us. And we started documenting our learning process. And that's when we realized at many places मूर्तियाँ नहीं थे. Even the documented ones, because before we go to a site, we collect all books, past published books, and read about it before we go to a site. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh. And many times when we went to the site, what we were looking for was not there. And in 2008-9, that's when we realized that कुछ तो है, problem है, and we started reading more about it and getting to understand the international art market, and we were shocked. हमको पता ही नहीं था कि ये $1 billion का बिजनेस चल रहा है हमारे मूर्तियों के साथ. वो स्मगलिंग रोज हो रहा है. एंड दिस वाज समथिंग लाइक, टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, इफ देयर इज अ डीलर and he's got Cambodia से, Italy से, Egypt से और India से, you will prefer to take the Indian one because India wouldn't go after you. And that was when we looked at the auction house records, and there were thousands of murtis, architectural fragments, terracotta objects, rattles that were coming for sale. And the main problem was हमारे पास archives नहीं थे, photographs नहीं थे. So we started collecting it. And I started using social media. अभी सब लोग बोलते हैं कि social media bad है. But then what we did was in Facebook and Twitter, we started creating focus groups. And in these focus groups, thanks to the IT revolution, दुनिया में कोने-कोने में हमारे लोग हैं. So what we encourage people to do is, if you see an Indian object in a museum, wherever, आप एक फ़ोटो उसके साथ ले लीजिए और एक फ़ोटो हमको भेज दीजिए. For a few Facebook likes and wow, बढ़िया फ़ोटो है, over the last decade and a half, we've collected the largest distribution of Indian artifacts outside of India free of cost. And this archive we maintain separate. And one of the issues that we noticed was it was looked at as a single person effort. And we wanted to leverage the true potential of social media. So Anurag and me coined the name of India Pride Project and made it into a citizen funded initiative. When I started this in 2006, I made it a policy that we will not do it for reward or award, and we will not take any finance, not a dollar contribution from anybody. And I think I'm very, very happy that the team has stood beside me, and till date, we have stood by our principles.
तो ये जो अवैध रूप से तस्करी होती है आइडल मार्केट्स की, इसके बारे में थोड़ा बताएं, होती कैसे है?
हमारे 1972 में एंटिक्विटीज आर्ट ट्रेजर्स एक्ट पास हुई. इवन बिफोर दैट वी हैड 1958 एक्ट एंड 1962 कस्टम्स एक्ट. After 1972, anything over 100 years is banned for export. So the pipeline khatam 1972 ke baad you cannot export. So that is one good thing. And internationally, the UN were campaigned by India and Italy to come up with a convention. So UN came up with a statute in 1970 against illicit trafficking. So the 1970 is like a watershed year. But the collecting lobby was so powerful that they couldn't put it on retrospective. So अगर 1970 के बाद चोरी हुई हम प्रूफ कर सकते हैं, तो मूर्ति वापस देने के लिए 30 days टाइम है वो हमारा प्रूफ को नहीं साबित करने के लिए. If they have been caught with a stolen property, the international regulation is a thief cannot confer good title. That means you might be a good faith purchaser, but you don't have title and you have to return it back to India. But going back to 1970 date, before that, it's just we have to go to court and fight it. So this 1970 date कोई लक्ष्मण रेखा नहीं है कि हम क्रॉस नहीं कर सकते और it miraculously washes a stolen object. A stolen object continues to be a stolen object. I'll give you one example where we tracked down a theft from a Nalanda Site Museum in 1962. एक बुद्धा का मूर्ति था, ब्रॉन्ज का, छोटी सी. It was stolen in 1961 as a part of two thefts that happened. 14 bronze murtis were stolen. And after so many years, in 2018, it came up for an auction in Netherlands, where hamare volunteer, ek lady, she went there and we had told her to monitor any Indian object that come for sale. And she sent us this photograph. And we had actually got this tip from Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, who had met a retired ASI officer. And Dr. Bishwas told us that, look, 1960 mein ek theft hua, can Vijay solve this theft? And lucky he had some old photographs of this murti. And we had kept it, and within 6 months, we tracked it to this auction in Netherlands, and the seller was a dealer in UK. So on August 15th of 2018, after the proofs that we had given, this murti was restituted back to India in London, and he is back here. It's just to say that two things are key. One, passage of time is immaterial. Stolen object continues to be a stolen object. Proof. So there was an in situ photograph when it was still in India. And how are these smugglers smuggling these out? Earlier, they make fakes using experts. So what happens is, nai banake, which looks exactly like the old one, ASI say non-antiquity certificate proof they take, and they switch it and they export the original. A fake is used to obtain the license. That is one. And we've also seen where they fudge the customs paperwork. So Subhash Kapoor, my book ka villain, he exported a container of antiquities, declaring them as garden furniture. So these land up, so the customs misdeclaration is also there. And most likely they take it to transit points. दुनिया में बैंकॉक, हांगकांग, यहाँ पे फ्री पोर्ट्स है, स्विट्ज़रलैंड में है, and they can actually bring goods inside, after Panama Papers and all that, they are scared of the banking scandal. They don't want to keep money in the banks. They invest in art and they put it in these free ports and storage. लॉकर होगा, एक रूम होगा, रूम के अंदर आप आर्ट रख सकते हो. You want to pay a friend takes another room, you move a painting there, $1 million transfer happens without any paperwork. So there's a lot of things involved. So this is not just some nameless, faceless theft. And a shocking case that I have seen is एक नटराज का मूर्ति था ब्रॉन्ज का तमिलनाडु से. The robbers actually thought it was made of gold. The Hindu bronzes, basically the Chola bronzes, are called Panchaloga, but technically they are bronze. The silver gold content is very, very minuscule, not even 0.03% gold and silver. But the thieves didn't know it. So what they did was they sawed off his hand and melted it to find if there was no gold. And in an argument, they killed the jeweler who melted it. And there was a murder case in 2005 on this. But this murti with the hand cut off was smuggled out of Nepal to Hong Kong. From Hong Kong, it went to London. In London, there was a restorer who made a new hand for this murti. And in 2007, April, it was on sale in New York for $3.5 million. And about a month before Subhash Kapoor was arrested via Interpol notice in September 2011, this murti comes back to Chennai and is handed over to the police. So imagine a murti in hand-cut condition without a passport, visa, left India, traveled the world, went to London, got a new hand, and remarkably came back also. So this is how porous our borders are and how connected the networks are. And lucky, I think the US side, we have to salute them because most of the success that we have is from the US side, and especially the Homeland Security agents, and also the New York District Attorney Matthew Bogdanas and his team, aided by a very good art expert called Apsaraya, and they've been very crucial in cracking most of these cases.
Vijay, India is a land of iconic temples, iconic artifacts. अभी जो फिलहाल किस्सा हुआ, जो आप गए प्रधानमंत्री को आपने इतने सारे आर्टिफैक्ट दिए, उनकी तस्वीरें सोशल मीडिया पे आईं, उनको देख रहे थे वो उन मूर्तियों को, तो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ मोमेंट वाज दैट? और इस ट्रांजैक्शन में कितने ऐसे पीसेस हैं जो अभी फ़िलहाल प्रधानमंत्री की यात्रा हुई, उसके बारे में आप थोड़ा सा बताएं.
It was payday for us. This is what we do, thousands of hours of searching. And हमारे लिए this is just the start. This 157, as I said, compared to 19 from 1970 to 2012, now we are over 200. This 157 is a very big number for us. In this 157, three murtiyan are very, very my personal favorites. One, of course, is a Nataraja that was stolen in 1972 from a Pune Nallur temple. Again, this was very important because एक पुजारी ने हमारे वॉलंटियर बोला कि 1972 में थेफ्ट हो गया, हमारे एफआईआर रजिस्टर हुआ, फिर वापस कोई और मूर्ति देके एफआईआर क्लोज कर दिया, लेकिन दिस मूर्ति इज स्टिल नॉट विथ अस, कैन यू फाइंड इट? By luck, they had the temple register, even though the FIR was closed, they had written down the date it was stolen and that they have gone to the police station to record the theft. So we had the proof that the theft happened after 1972. And the temple register also had taken a photograph in a photo studio. So we managed to track that photo. And the moment I saw the photo, and all this is happening on WhatsApp. रात को मैं सिंगापुर में हूँ, 8 बजे एक फ़ोटो आया. I knew because I had seen this in New York. It was in the Asia Society Museum. So we started working with law enforcement in India, ASI, and it's been almost a 3-year journey. But the temple is waiting for the return of the Lord. And to me, how the village celebrates the return is the end point of it. The other one that is very important is a statue of Chamunda Bhairava from Orissa. And this was again, we tracked to a book by Inal Donaldson, which is a very good book. And this statue was offered in New York. And we managed to track it to this book. And it's a wonderful sculpture. And Orissa is another state that's been pillaged by the robbers. And lastly, the third one is from Chandraketuga. It's a dynasty, a civilization that not many Indians know, the Shunga dynasty, and from Chandraketugar in West Bengal. So many, because it was a site that was excavation 1968 mein hi hua. And all over the world, these terracotta objects, small rattles, or babies के साथ rattles होगा, they are 2,200 years old, and they have been pillaged. They have been sent by courier piece outside. 90 objects landed the smuggler. Only 5 survived. Rest of all broken. So all these archaeologically significant objects. What else was there? Which great Sunga dynasty king our history books have lost because of this trade? And I think illegal excavations like this destroy context. They reduce an archaeologically significant object into a toy. So for me, the maximum number coming from with the Prime Minister from Chandraketugar, and in fact these were donated by Subhash Kapoor, free, muft mein diya, chori hui object, to the Toledo Museum. In the early 2000s and early 1980s, the auction houses used to send their people to India. ये लोग ट्रिप में आते हैं यहाँ पे और रेके में जाते हैं, हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स साथ लेके, स्मगलर्स के साथ. They will pick and choose the objects to loot. They'll go to temples, they'll look at the sites and say, ये बेचेगा, ये इसको अच्छा दाम मिलेगा लंदन में. In fact, there was a book published in 1998 on one very big auction house called Sotheby's, wherein there is one chapter on India, and the chapter opens saying, it was a sting operation. The BBC journalist Peter Watson met the India smugglers, this idle thieves, and they say, आपको ताजमहल चाहिए, बताइए, part में container में बेच देंगे. So that's the audacity of the people and the capacity of these people, and knowing them, they would have done it.
तो इस काले बाजार की तस्करी का अनुमान क्या है? ये कितना बड़ा बाजार है? इस पे थोड़ा नज़र डालें. And secondly, take us back to the oldest theft after you mentioned the 62 one. After that,
the world over, this is a market that's unpoliced, flies under the radar. Just now, the US and the EU are coming with regulations to monitor. For us, we feel we are losing at least 10,000 objects every decade. That's 1,000 a year, and it's not a wild estimate. Just to give you an example, Operation Hidden Idol was the name of the operation that the US Homeland Security warehouses in New York. 2,622 objects were seized, valued at 900 crores. And this was his holding stock. And that is the scale of one small-time dealer in New York who was in business for 35 years. Similarly, in a High Court case that is going on in Tamil Nadu, the Hindu Religious Endowments Board HRNC has basically given an affidavit which says that from 1992 to 2012, almost 1,408 mixture of stone and bronze murtis have been lost. And this is a recorded theft. Our idea is what is recorded is only 5 to 10%. So you can imagine what has been left unrecorded. And this is just from temple sites. No, we are not talking about illegal digs, excavations, what has not been reported. So it's a very big market. And in fact, the US and Europe are coming in with tougher sanctions, including the Banking Regulation Act, because they realize that there is hawala money involved and this money is going into the wrong channels. So they are getting more and more stronger. So on the demand side, there are tougher regulations happening, and we hope India will also strengthen its regulations on the supply side. So to give you an example, you asked me how old is a theft that you have found. So I'll give you an example of how this works. So as part of our archive, हमने एक पुराना book मिला हमको 1914 का book, and in the 1914 book there was just one photograph with a footnote, nothing else, just a photograph and a footnote in 1914, and it said Sivan Kodal Somaskanda. Somaskanda is Sau Uma and Skanda. So Shiva with baby Skanda in between and Uma, a bronze. And nobody knew where this temple was, what was the temple. And we went on social media, we were asking anybody knows what this place is. And हमारा दोस्त का एक ड्राइवर था, उसने बोला हमारे गांव के पास में एक गांव है, उसका गांव का नाम यही है. So we went and searched, and we went to the village and asked them, यहाँ कोई पुराना मंदिर है? No, nothing, नहीं है. So we just searched, and वहाँ पे एक टैंक था, and टैंक के बाजू में एक 10th century temple था, and the temple had
टैंक के बाजू में टेम्पल था, 10th century.
10th century, and in the temple there was an underground secret locker, like a passage, and unfortunately the robbers had already opened it, and we have tracked it to a museum in Southeast Asia. So if that comes back, it will be the oldest case that we have proved based on a 1930. So once we get this data, what we do is we inform the current owner if it's a public museum. If it's a dealer, then it's a little bit of a risk. So we inform, like for example, if it's UK, we work with the Metropolitan Police. If it's Europe, we work with Europol. If it's otherwise Interpol, or in America, we go to Homeland Security.
And
or
in India?
India, we go to ASI because they are the custodians. The ASI are the custodians. And you have some very good people there. So what you have to understand is somebody who's buying it for $1 million is not just going to give it back to you like you asked. Just because you asked, say it's Indian, give it back. So you need to build.
He's already paid for that million.
And he's not going to get it back. And not only that, it is the embarrassment that he's been caught with a stolen item. And we call it optical due diligence in the sense that that means they've not done the due diligence when they obtained it. And most of these public museums are government funded. Like in Australia, I think they've returned almost $18 million worth of stuff back to
I
India.
saw that video. Very nice sentiment there.
Yeah.
That some governments are willing to return it and then it comes back to India. But then what happens to the person who actually stole it? Is he caught? Is he punished? Some kind of a penalty?
Globally, it's a problem. Art theft is a very, very difficult
Thing
case
to trace.
Proof is very, very difficult. And most cases, what happens is in the past, you just confiscate the object. The guy says, oh, I bought it, I'm a good faith purchaser. I think that's where the US is taking the lead to say that we want to stop it. We are not some border guards just confiscate items. We want to go after the network. And I salute them for that because that is the key. You might get one or two back with proof, but then hundreds are, India's, as you said, so vast and huge, we don't have a document for everything. So I think the network has to be, the collecting lobby cabal, and you're talking about billions of dollars that is currently in this, and they lobby, they employ experts. Some of them are very, very big people, and they can influence policy. In fact, in the New York Times about a year ago, we noticed that some of these auction houses are paying corporate lobbyists and social media influencers to the government not to go after strengthening the law.
Now tell me about this book. What prompted you to write this lovely book, The Idle Thief?
So when I first embarked on this project, I promised that I will not write a book because I've seen a lot of these books written by expert scholars that looked at PhD theses. And they will sit in libraries, nobody would even open them up and see. But then after some time, this is in fact a commissioned book by Juggernaut, and they reached out to some of the key players in this market in the US. And they said, we want to commission a book on Kapoor. And I was very fortunate that whoever they asked, their reply was, if anybody can write on Kapoor, it's got to be Vijay. And I did spend about 2.5 years on this book because it was tough. Writing a non-fiction when the case is under trial. We had a couple of law enforcement in India complicit. We had to expose them as well. So it was tough. And also we were talking about active raids, secret agents whom we cannot name. So my good friend, again, somebody who has done so much for India. Unfortunately, we can't name him, but I call him Indy in the book. So a lot of people have helped us in this book. And the reason why I wrote this book was very, very simple. There was another smuggler in Rajasthan who was said to have smuggled about 10,000 objects of Indian art via an auction house in London, via 4 Swiss companies. He was arrested in 2002 because it was part of a BBC show in 1998. A book was published. But then in 2013, he was acquitted for want of evidence. Not one of the so-called 10,000 ever got back. And then I realized that we need to make an example of it, because if we don't do, if there's no punishment, the crime goes unabated. On one side, you've got $1 million profits, and our laws are so weak that today Murthy Cho is convicted in IPC section 380, which is basically housebreaking theft. It carries a maximum penalty of 3,000 rupees or 7 years. So, you
can get away with it, I know, and you make billions on the other hand,
yeah.
if you succeed. You are a management accountant and you kind of do this in your spare time. But do you think at some point of time you'd have to dedicate everything to this because this happens to be near to your heart and near to the country's heart? Bringing back our heritage is inherently, a treasure trove of India which needs to come back.
I wish it comes true. The passion is there. Unfortunately, the day job pays, and I owe it to my family. And it's not just that, the risks that we are taking also. So I'm only the face of the project for particularly that reason. There are a lot of people on the front of this investigation. So I think for us, we are just right now an intermediary. And I think if the government comes across and creates this kind of a national squad, other countries have done it in the past and strengthens the penalties. I think we can put an end to this looting in a big way. We are working on the demand side. No longer is Indian art fair game. They know somebody is watching. In fact, when I went on stage in a UN conference, one of the museum curators was tweeting saying, museum directors world over, be careful, what is he going to expose? So a lot of stuff that we have worked, this Corona time, we are working from home. We have managed to crack another 60 cases which we have passed on. So hopefully you will see more big ticket murtis coming, and we are going to empty most of the prized museums in the West. It's just a deterrent. We're going to tell them that Indian art is no longer a fair game. And it has become a revenue model for museums. Big collectors are donating our murtis to museums and getting tax breaks. So this is a racket that is going on for too long, and it has to stop.
तो अगर 14 नवंबर की बात की जाए तो बच्चों के लिए बहुत ज़रूरी होता है। आप क्या मैसेज देना चाहेंगे कि शिक्षा होनी चाहिए, बच्चे इसमें भाग ले सकते हैं इंडिया प्राइड प्रोजेक्ट में, बच्चों को किस तरह ज्ञान दिया जाना चाहिए कि वो आगे बढ़ें और आपको बताएं कि हम इस जगह इस दिन गए थे, इस म्यूज़ियम में गए थे या इस मंदिर में गए थे और वहाँ ये मूर्ति नहीं थी। आप क्या मैसेज देंगे बच्चों को?
I learned Indian mythology by looking at Amma Chitrakada. So I would first say that the parents, request to parents, just don't buy them textbooks. Please buy them Indian history and mythology books. ACK is a very good resource. And please take them to museums. And agar bachon, if they get interested, for us it's the next generation. And we hope that it is our duty to basically safeguard our murtis and hand over to them. We feel it's our ancestral treasure, and it's not just a murti, it's a knowledge of how they are made, what is the sanctity, how do you pray to them. Unfortunately, हमारे ज़माने में तो दादा दादी थे घर पे, and we learnt a lot. I learned a lot of history from reading fiction. There's a Tamil book called Ponniyin Selvan. Today, kids are grown up on different kind of
Nuclear
media.
families, कोई होते ही नहीं बताने वाला.
So
other than their school.
So I hope they buy Amshadakada packs and get them interested back into understanding the great stories and art
And the
histories.
great art and sculpture and the murtis of this country, and learn from them and maybe identify them and send them to you that we saw this here. Because a lot of them are studying abroad as we speak.
I've done such iconographic courses for children as presentations for school children. And in fact, they've written quite nice stories. And in fact, a couple of them took it as their high school projects, basically to understand. So I hope we can encourage the children to go visit new sites. I hope they pester parents to take them to archaeological sites as well.
तो इसी के साथ बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए, हमें जानकारी देने के लिए, अपने इंडिया प्राइड प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में सभी को बताने के लिए। और ये जानकारी भी बहुत ज़रूरी है कि भारत के लिए ही नहीं, समस्त विश्व के लिए काला बाज़ार और काली तस्करी, खासकर मूर्तियों की, बंद करी जानी चाहिए। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you so much.
तो ये थे हमारे आज के खास मेहमान एस विजय कुमार जी, हु इज़ हेडिंग द इंडिया प्राइड प्रोजेक्ट। फिर मिलेंगे आपसे अगले रविवार एक नए मेहमान के साथ। तब तक देखना ना भूलें अपना पसंदीदा प्रोग्राम मेहमान। तब तक के लिए दीजिए पूरी टीम को इजाज़त।